All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started. I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me okay. If someone wants to let me know that you can hear me, I'd greatly appreciate it. Otherwise, I'll go ahead and get started. So, as you can see, we have all of our materials that we got from our craft kit. Oh, I'm excited for you guys to be here too. Okay. uh, First off, what we're going to do is we're going to cut out all these circles. So feel free to get started cutting out these circles. We have a total of 10. So go ahead, and they don't have to be perfect. Just do your best to cut them out along that line. Okay, awesome. Thank you for letting me know you can hear me. All right. I hope you guys are excited to paint today. Painting is one of my favorite things to do. And since we're painting the planets, I'm going to try to paint them the same color that they appear to us, to our human eye, but feel free to sort of imagine the color that you think the planet looks as well. So don't feel like you have to paint it the same exact colors I'm painting. If you want to create your own colored planet, that'd be cool too. All right. Got one more page to cut out. For those of you who are new to our library craft programs, I am Miss Alyssa. So I want to welcome everyone here. And if you are a veteran library craft patron, then we welcome you as well. All right, I'm almost done cutting out these circles. And don't forget to cut out this last sort of oval shape. That is for our Saturn planet. Because Saturn actually has these big rings around it. So we're going to make the rings using this oval. All right. I'm finished cutting out. Let me just put this trash to the side. Oops. I'm going to go ahead and rearrange everything. Let's see. So even if you're still cutting, don't worry. The next step I'm going to do is take my black plate. I'm going to flip it upside down because we have to paint the other side. So I have my black paint here. I'm going to take my large brush, and you don't need to dip the brush in water. You just want to start putting a coat all over the back side of the plate. We got to make sure that this dries before we can cut the plate. So first off, we're just going to do our best to put a nice black coat. We want to get all along the rim as well. The black plate is going to represent our space. So space up there is that big black void that all of our planets and stars float around in, or fly around in, I should say. I'm just gonna make sure I get all the way around the rim here. And you don't need to put a lot of paint on your brush because we'd want to make sure that this dries, okay? Oh, if you just joined us, the first thing we did is we cut out all of our planet templates. And the second step is we're just painting our black plate. We're flipping it over and we're painting the other side black. I tried to find you guys some all black plates, but I wasn't able to. So we're gonna have to paint one side. All right, I'm almost done. Oh, there's a little bit right there I missed. All right, so I've got a nice coat of black. If you don't use too much paint and you spread it around, then it will dry relatively quickly. So I'm gonna go ahead and start decorating my space, okay? If it's okay if there's a couple white spots because you can just imagine that those are stars. So I'm gonna go ahead and wash this brush real quick. Just gonna kind of swirl it in the water and then I'm gonna dab it on my, let me rearrange so you can see. I'll just dab it dry, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and take some of the white paint now and I'm gonna dip a smaller brush in the white and I'm just gonna start dotting some stars. If you actually know some constellation shapes, it might be interesting for you to put those onto your plate, I should say. I'm just gonna create little clusters too, because sometimes stars are all gathered in one area and that's what makes constellations, right? I'm gonna make sure I get some on the rim of the plate as well. All right, and you know what also is in space is we have some meteorites, right? So maybe I'll do a couple of swishes like that. Like they're flying around out there, huh? So a couple swishes. And if you also want to add a couple of different color stars, maybe that might be kind of fun. So you can just cover one of the white dots with another color, like so. Maybe what I want to do, I'll go ahead and wipe that off, clean this tip off. Maybe what I want to do is just add a little bit of yellow to some of these stars, just to kind of break up the color palette. So feel free to decorate your plate with as many or as little stars as you want. I think I have a whole area down here that I didn't actually decorate, so I'll make sure I'll do that. All right. After you decorate this side, it should dry relatively quickly. Ooh, almost knocked that over. I'm gonna go ahead and just flip it over and do that same star decoration on this side. This side's got sort of like a shiny plastic coating, so it might take a little bit longer to dry. So I'm gonna leave, once I'm done decorating it, I'm gonna leave it dry up. So this side up so that we make sure it dries completely. And again, you can make some bigger stars if you want, or keep them small. You want make sure you get little clusters, little constellations. Make sure you get along the rim too. And I'm gonna make sure that I add some yellow in there as well. Again, just to break up the colors. Maybe I'll do a couple swooshes like this, some shooting stars, some meteorites. All right. Again, you can decorate this as much as you want, but I think I'll go ahead and leave it like this to dry. So I'm gonna just set it off to the side to dry. I guess I can put it right around here. Okay. I'll go ahead and clean my brush. And again, when we start decorating the planets, you can do them sort of the colors that I'm doing, or you can also just do the color you think the planet kind of looks to you, right? So I think we're going to start from largest to smallest. And the largest planet is Jupiter. I know it's backwards for you guys. I'm sorry about that, but it should say Jupiter. And when we paint our planets, we're going to paint this side, okay, the blank side. Feel free to paint both if you want. I'm just going to do the blank side. And so let's see, Jupiter is actually sort of a yellow orangish color. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a base of yellow around. Make sure this is extra dry and not have any black on it. Okay. Now I'm gonna go ahead and dip this in yellow and start just brushing on a base of yellow. You can kind of see I still had a little bit of black on my brush. That's okay. I think it gives, you don't want, the planets each have sort of their own little multiple spectrum, I should say, of colors. So it's okay if it's not completely one color. All right, I have this nice little base of yellow, and I'm gonna go ahead and create an orange. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna create that orange on my extra white plate that I have here. So I'm just gonna dip some yellow there, and then I'm gonna do the same with my red. I'm just gonna kind of add a little bit of red. I'll mix that up. Okay, that looks pretty good. And I'm gonna just start brushing that on sort of lightly so that the yellow peeks through. And I'm kind of doing it in one direction, so it kind of gives that illusion that the planet is round. If you want to kind of curl at the edges, that's fine. Okay, I think I want to make a little bit more, so I'll add a little bit more yellow, a little bit more orange. Get that all over my brush. All right. There we go. I think that's looking like a pretty good Jupiter so far. So I'll go ahead and set that aside to dry. Let's see. And our second biggest planet in our solar system is Saturn. Okay. So Saturn is also sort of a yellow brown with some kind of spots of red, pink, and white. So I'm going to do this similar to what I did before. Wash my brush. Just kind of swirling it in that water. And I'm going to go ahead and flip this over. I'll go and add just a base of yellow. My biggest brush here. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some brown. I have my brown here. I'm going to go ahead, dip just a little bit in here, and I'm just going to do some swipes. And I don't want a lot of brown because I really want that yellow to pop through. So I'm just going to kind of keep brushing it. Maybe I put a little bit there, too much there, huh? It's okay. Kind of want to brush it out so it kind of blends. Yeah. Put a little bit more on the sides here. All right, so I got some nice brown in there. And I think what I want to do is add some of that. Let's see, I'll add a little bit of white. Oops, I forgot to dry my brush. Make sure you dry your brush after you clean it, okay, guys? Let's see, I'll just put a little bit, a couple of white, just kind of creating a couple white spots. And then I'll do the same with some red. I kind of want to make a reddish pink, so I'm just going to dip the paint in the red, and then I'll grab a little bit of white, and I'll make sort of a pink right there. I'm just going to do the same. I'm just going to add little streaks. And then I'll also add just some regular red as well. Oh, so we're doing Saturn right now, okay? So far, we've only done Jupiter, and now we're on Saturn, okay? I'm painting them in the order of largest to smallest, okay? So I think my Saturn looks a little too yellow, so I'm gonna add a little bit more brown. Some couple dark spots of brown. All right. Of course, yours might look different than mine. Feel free to decorate the planet the color you kind of want. All right, just to let you guys know, there's a little bit of delay in the chat. So when you first type your question, I might not see it immediately. So just keep that in mind, okay? All right, so I've done Jupiter and I've done Saturn. I'm gonna go ahead and set those aside. And the next planet is Uranus. Let's see, here we go. And this planet is sort of a pale blue green color. So again, I know it's backwards to you guys, but so let's see. I'm gonna take out my blue now. Make sure I cleaned I didn't quite clean it all the way. Make sure I clean my brush. I like using the bigger brush, but if you want to use the smaller brush for details, go ahead and do that, okay? All right. So I think what I'm gonna do first is sort of create, here, I already feel like I'm getting disorganized, so I'm gonna kind of quickly organize my stuff. All right. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create some blue. So I'm gonna some pale blue. So to make the blue look a little bit paler, I'm just gonna scoop some of that white in there. And I'm gonna kind of try to mix that on my plate here to make sort of a pale blue. It's okay if you're behind because I have to go fast. We got a lot of plants to paint today. And then we still have to assemble the mobile. So even if you are a little bit behind, this video should be posted to our YouTube channel within the day, I guess. So by tomorrow. And then you can always review the video tomorrow or whenever you need. But just keep in mind that you can just paint the planets whatever color you want. And then we can all come together at the end, okay? I'm kind of painting really quickly. So again, if you're putting a little more detail into your planets, I completely understand. But we gotta hurry because we only got an hour to get this done, okay? All right, so I've got my sort of pale blue color here. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and wash my brush. All right. And now we want to make a green, okay? So I'm gonna take the same pale blue that I kind of made here and I'm just gonna add a little bit of yellow, okay? And that's gonna make my green color here. And I'm gonna put that color on my brush and then I'm just gonna do similar to how I did the other one. So I'm just gonna kind of brush that across very lightly. The color might come out a little bit different on the camera, but it looks more green to me than gray. Yeah. So yeah, it looks a little different on the camera, but it's sort of like a pale, like jade color, I guess. Okay, and I can always put in some extra little swipes of blue. And then what I also think is good for at least the blue planets is to put a little bit of like cloud coverage a little bit, even though there aren't clouds per se on this planet, but these are all gas planets. So I'm gonna just swipe a little bit of white, sort of like that, just to brighten it up. It's okay if the colors blend a little bit. All right. There we go. So I'm done with Uranus, and I'll go ahead and move on. I know I'm moving quickly, but right now I just finished Uranus, and I'm going to be moving on to our fourth largest planet, which is Neptune. Okay. So let me wash my brush. Okay, guys, we're already almost halfway through and I still got lots to do, so I apologize if I'm just breezing through. So Neptune is a very bright blue. So I'm just going to take the straight up blue color that we have because it is very bright, and I'm just going to go over with that, okay? And do my best to put a nice coat of this blue. This is just straight up blue. I didn't mix anything in with it. This one's pretty easy because we just need to do blue. And if you want, you can make it a little bit, make sure it's nice and even. And then if you want, you can go in with that sort of same kind of cloud coverage that I did with this planet. We could just swipe in some blue. I'm just going to blend it just to give it some kind of character. All right. That one was real quick. Neptune was quick because it's just blue with the, I just splashed a little bit of white. Okay. Okay, so these planets are already dry for me, so I'm going to go ahead and just stack them, and we'll continue. So I'm going to wash my brush. I feel like I just washed it, but I washed it twice. All right, so the next planet is, so I hope you all know what Earth looks like. Earth is also going to be blue. I think I'm going to kind of make a pale blue color though, similar to how I made with Uranus. So I'm just going to take some more of that blue onto here. And then I'm going to dip some white. Oops, maybe a little bit too much white there. I'm going to mix. All right. Okay, I got some paint and I'm just going to brush that. Again, this is Earth. So I'm just starting with a base of blue, which is our oceans, right? And then next I'll just paint on some land masses. This is probably, Earth is very unique in that we're one of the only planets I think we know of that has this much water on it. And it's curling up a little bit. That's fine. If your papers are curling a little bit, once they're dry, we'll just roll them the opposite way so that they're not as curled, okay? So hopefully yours don't curl quite so much. All right. So I think I'm going to take a different brush now. I'm going to take sort of this round brush, this brush that has like this sort of round tip. And I'm going to go ahead and make another green. Take that blue. I want sort of a dark green. So I'm going to take this blue and then I'm going to dip in some yellow. I'm going to kind of make a dark green. Maybe a little bit more yellow. There we go. All right, so imagine your world map, right? And I'm just gonna kind of try to I'm gonna make a couple of land masses. Now, it doesn't have to exactly look like Earth because that might be kind of difficult, but I'm gonna try to make sort of like this. And then I'm gonna do a little landmass here. And I'm just kind of eyeballing what I remember Earth looks like. So we have, right, the Western Hemisphere and the Eastern Hemisphere. And these is not to scale, obviously, but I'm doing my best. This is sort of what I imagine is North America. And I'm going to try making Africa. There we go. Got a little Mediterranean. We got Asia. Put some Australia in there. I'm going to also put in some land masses on the top and bottom because we have a North and South Pole. And there we go. Of course, if you want to imagine an older Earth, maybe you just make one big landmass, and that would be Pangaea. Let's see. Okay, that was pretty easy, huh? I'm going to go ahead and wash my brush. Now I glooped on the green a little bit thick, so this one might take a little bit longer to dry. If yours feels like it has too much paint on, you can just gently dab it with a paper towel. Make sure that there's not too much paint, okay? So I finished Earth. What's the next one? The next largest planet is Venus. Okay, so we're working on Venus now. And Venus is a sort of white, yellow, orangey color. So I'm gonna keep the base white. I'm gonna grab my large brush and I'm just going to do streaks of yellow and orange. So I'm not gonna completely cover it. I'm just gonna put sort of a little bit of paint, but I'm not gonna put a lot of paint on that brush. And I'm just gonna kind of, oops, there, I think I caught some of the blue on the table. That's okay. Let's cover that up. And just put in streaks of color, the orange or the yellow, and then I'll go ahead and make another orange here. There. I think I want a little bit more yellow in that orange. And I'm going to create a couple more streaks. Again, you don't want too much paint on the brush because we're just trying to make it a little bit streaky. We are doing Venus right now. Venus is sort of a white, yellow, orangey color. I think I put a little bit too much color aside. After I put sort of this base layer of yellow and orange, I think I'll go in with some more white. So I'll do that same technique where I just kind of brush the white on. So for this time, I think I'm going to brush it on a little bit more coverage so that you get sort of that pale color. So again, I just added some yellow and orange, and then I'm just covering it with a light kind of dusting, or maybe dusting is the right word, sort of a light coating of white, and that kind of faded it out a little bit so that it looks kind of white, yellow, and orange. All right, I'm going to clean my brush. There we go. The next largest planet is, let's see, Mars, I believe. Yes, it is Mars. Does anyone know what color Mars is? Mars is pretty unique in that it is known as the red planet. So I'm going to go ahead and just paint a base layer of red. The planets are getting tinier, so they become a little bit faster to finish painting once they become smaller, right? All right. Even though Mars is known as the red planet, it does actually have some orange in it. So I'm going to go ahead and tinge this. I'm going to use that same orange that I used for Venus, and I'm just going to kind of spread that on here, kind of streaky. Kind of hard to see on mine, but there we go. And then I think what I want to do is make sort of, I'm going to take a little bit of black. I'm going to add that to my, oop, that didn't work. What is the color that I want to add? Maybe I'll add more red. Yeah. So I'm going to add a little bit of red and black onto my brush, and I'm going to do that same sort of streaky motion. I'm just trying to create some like variety, right? So it's not just one color. All right, there's my Mars. Again, they get a little bit faster to paint once they get small. I think we just have 2 more left to do. So we have Mercury here. I'm going to go ahead and put that over. And Mercury is sort of a dark gray color. So for that, I think I'll just take my black. I dip my, and then we'll also dip into white. And I'll go ahead and mix that to make a gray. There we go. And I'll go ahead, should be fairly fast. Just cover it all the way. Okay, and let's see. I think I want to add a couple streaks of white. So I'm just gonna kind of brush the white on like this, just to kind of give it some variety. Yeah. All right, let's see. And last but not least is Pluto. And now Pluto is actually a dwarf planet. It's not an actual full-size planet. And that is actually, if you can imagine our moon, Pluto is actually smaller than our moon. Our moon is about 1,000 miles in radius, and Pluto is only like 700 miles. So it's actually smaller than our own lunar moon. And Pluto is a reddish brown. So I'm going to take that red again, but I think I'm going to go ahead and just mix in the brown this time. So I'm going to take that red, I'm going to mix in some brown. I'm not going to mix it fully. I'm just going to kind of keep it streaky. And then I'll go in, cover that. And add some, might want to add a couple brown streaks. All right. What color was Mercury? Let's see. Mercury was dark gray. So that was this one, right? Mercury was our dark gray. I kind of just mixed black and a little white, and then I added a couple more streaks of white to kind of get this. Oh, sorry if I froze for a second. Hopefully I come back soon. All right. So let's see. Did I unfreeze already? Okay. So if once your planets are all painted, oh, you know what? I just realized we didn't paint our Saturn rings. We got to do that. So this is the rings for Saturn. And let's see, the rings are actually sort of like a light gray color. So I sort of have a little bit of gray left. I think I'll just add a little bit more white to that to kind of lighten it up. Maybe a little bit more than that. Might be easier just to add a little dab of black to some white paint. I got sort of this kind of white color, and what I'm going to do is just kind of, there's also some pink in the rings around Saturn, and you don't need to paint. Imagine that we're going to be cutting a line right here so that we could slide the planet in. So you really only need to paint about this area. The rest will be behind the planet itself. I got some gray there. I think I'll add a couple streaks of pink. So I'll just go ahead and mix that real quick. Sort of a light pink. And it's going to kind of curl around like that. So maybe you can kind of make sort of a curling. Maybe it'd be easier to use my smaller brush. Let's use my smaller brush. Kind of, I'm going to sort of curl the rings around the corner there. All right. So I'm going to let that dry. Does anyone, someone had a question. What comes after Mercury? That is Pluto. And we did Pluto with sort of red and brown. So I mixed red with a little bit of brown, and then I added a couple of brown streaks, okay? Does anyone have any other questions about the planet colors? Okay. We're coming up on 45 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and just blaze through, okay? So our plates should be dry now, and what we're going to do is we're going to cut a spiral. So you'll need your scissors, and you'll need to start at one corner, and we're just going to cut in a spiral until we get to the center, okay? So go ahead. I'm going to cut along the rim first. Even if you're not done with your planets, feel free to move on to this step, and you can always go back and finish your planets later. Oops. So this is where I entered. I'm going to go ahead and just keep cutting in that spiral. This is going to kind of create our galaxy, right? Or I should say our solar system. All right. And once I get close to the middle, I want to make sure that I just have a nice little circle right here for our sun. We're going to go ahead and glue our sun to that. So let's see if I could stretch this out a little bit. All right. So now, once you have your plate all cut up, let me go ahead and just clean up my area a little bit. All right. You don't really need my paint anymore. So now let's work on the order of our planets, right? So actually, you know what? Sorry. Let's go ahead and make our sun first. So you should have been given these 2 pieces of paper. And I'm going to go ahead and use my pencil to kind of draw a sun shape. Now, the sun is, circular, but it also has like some rays coming off of it. So I'm going to start with a regular circle. Might be kind of hard to see on camera, but I'm just adding a couple of like little sun rays. Maybe since you can't see, maybe I'll just do it in pen. So feel free to use pencil so that you don't see the markings, but I'm just creating a couple sun kind of little wavy rays coming off of our sun here, okay? All right, and I'm going to go ahead and layer the 2 pieces of paper together after I draw my sun shape, and I'll cut them out so I have 2 identical ones. Identically shaped, I should say. All right, I went ahead and cut that out, and I don't want my marker colors to show, so I'm going to flip that to the inside. All right, so the first thing we're going to want to do is tape our sun to the very center of our plate here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to kind of slide that end there in between the two suns. So I have this here. I'll go ahead. I'm just going to use tape. Have some tape like that. Okay. Then I'm going to layer that on top so that they match. Again, I just kind of tape that center bit inside. I'm going to layer that on top and tape that down. And I put a piece of tape there, and then I'm also going to put it, oops, became a little bit uneven. Let's try that again. I'm going to put just a little tape at the top to tape the two together at the top, kind of like that. And if you want, you can write sun on either side if you'd like. So the first planet from the sun, that would be Mercury. Okay, so let me go ahead and grab Mercury. Mercury is the gray planet. I'm going to take my tape, and since it's closest to the sun, I'll go ahead and put it right next to the sun, okay? So I'm just kind of taping the planet with, I like to tape the planet so that the colored part is facing sort of out. So I put some tape just at the top of the, you see the top of the circle, and I'm just going to kind of layer it like that, and then I'll put a piece of tape on top too. Okay, so that it'll kind of hang right there. All right, so Mercury is the first planet from the sun. The second planet is Venus, so that would be this planet. So I'm going to kind of rotate along the cut edge here that we made so that, oops, and I'll tape it. I guess I can tape it right there. Okay. So again, I'm just going to put some tape on the top of the planet, and then I'll go ahead and place it there. It's second, right? I'll go ahead and put some tape on top of that, like this. Yeah. And I'm going to do that for all my planets until the very end. So after Venus is the third planet from the sun. That is Earth. So I'll go ahead and take that. Make sure I have the top. Oops. There we go. I want to make sure I tape the top of the letters so that when we can look at it, we'll be able to see. Could be hard to see here, but that we want to make sure the letters are upright, right? All right, so the third planet from the sun. Oop, mine is still a little bit wet. I'll go ahead and add tape. Take that to the edge there. Okay, and the next planet is Mars. So you can see mine is kind of curled up a little bit there. So if yours curled up, just kind of roll it up the other way, and then it should flatten out a lot more. Just a little tip. Okay, I'll add my fourth planet. That would be Mars. Okay. All right, the fifth planet is Jupiter, nice big Jupiter. So Jupiter, if you remember, is the largest planet. So I want to make sure, let me see if I can angle the camera so you can see a little bit better. I want to make sure that the planet will kind of hang in the space. So I think I'll put Jupiter right around there. And my tape. All right, so you see it's kind of hanging in that space there. All right, what's after Jupiter is Saturn. Now we're gonna have to add Saturn's rings. So what you're gonna do is you're just gonna fold this in half, or fold it this way so that the two ends are meeting. And I'm gonna take my scissors and I'm gonna cut almost to the end. So that, but I'm not going to cut all the way to the end, just almost to the end. And then we should be able to slide our Jupiter into that slot that we created. And if it's, maybe you need to do a little bit more. Just like I said, almost to the tippy end. There we go. Let's see if that worked. Make sure I'm putting this on the right way. So there we go. So you can add Saturn's rings, and I'll just tape the back side there like that. I just put a little tape right there so the rings won't move. You can see there, my rings are right there. And so next down the line, I'm gonna put Jupiter. Let's say we put Jupiter right here. Sorry, this is Saturn. I'm taping Saturn. Add some tape to the top. Put right there on the end. All right, I only have a couple more planets left. Neptune is next. Oh, sorry, not Neptune. I'm sorry. The planet after Saturn is Uranus, okay? All right, so I'm gonna put that there. We're getting to the end of our plate. So I got enough space for my last two planets, which is Neptune, and then at the very end, I'll put Pluto, okay? Even though technically Pluto isn't a planet, I know it's a favorite of some people's, so I'm including it. All right, so I'll go ahead and put that one. This one is Neptune, the second to last, or I guess technically it's the last planet in our solar system, other than Pluto, the dwarf planet. And at the very tip of my plate here, I'll add Pluto. Very tip here. Oops, I almost put it upside down. All right, and guess what, guys? That is our solar system. We made it just in time, under the hour. So you can see, if you need to hang it, you can always punch a hole in the top here, or you can kind of pin it that way. So you should be able to use like a pencil to poke a hole, or if you have a hole puncher, that'd be even better. And then you can maybe tie a string, or if you have like a hook, you can hang it from a hook. Okay. So real quick, let me just start from the top. We have the sun, of course. We have Mercury, and then I'm going to move down to Venus. We have Earth. We have Mars. And then we have Jupiter. And then Saturn. Uranus. And then we have Neptune. And then last but not least, we have Pluto. Okay. So I hope you guys enjoyed that craft. I know I kind of was speeding through, but feel free to rewatch the video after it's posted to YouTube. If you need to, if you forgot a step or such, and let us know if you enjoyed this. Later on, I'm going to be emailing everyone who registered a survey. So we'd appreciate it if you could complete that survey so we can let you know, or you can let us know some feedback regarding our programs, okay? So I'll be emailing that to those that have their email attached to their Civic Rec account. If you kind of opted out on adding your email or from receiving messages, I would just maybe uh, maybe turn that on like for a week and then you could turn it off again later. If there's any questions, let me know now. I'll stick around to see if anyone has any questions. I want to thank everyone who's here for joining in our first YouTube live stream. It was a little different than our Zoom. I hope you guys liked it. Thank you for liking the video as well. We're hoping to do more stuff on YouTube in the future, streaming our crafts and maybe some story times. So let us know if you like this format. All right. I think if no one has any questions, again, I want to thank you for joining us, and I'll go ahead and end the stream now. We're coming up on the end of our hour. I'm glad that we were able to finish on time. And I hope you guys enjoyed your solar system and maybe learned a little bit about, the order of the planets or the size of the planets and also maybe the colors of the planets. So I hope you guys were able to learn something as well. Thanks again for joining us, and I'll see you guys next time.